Yeah. So next is from Jared Smith. Subject is CM Punk. Hey guys, hope all is well. I know it's a long shot, but hypothetically, if CM Punk were ever to come back to AEW, could you see him becoming Booker? Nope. Tony Khan is never going to give up that spot. I find that he has an extensive knowledge of what it takes to get over. Plus, most of the segments he was elevated, elevated him and whoever he was working with, like MJF and Eddie Kingston. What do you guys think? Thanks as always. It's kind of obvious that the AEW absolutely was a better product rating wise with CM Punk on the show. I mean, the numbers are very crystal clear on that. Would you agree? Everybody, we all agree with that.
I guess so. I don't really know the numbers.
Well, they were high. They were high. They were well over a million a bunch of times and stuff. For
Okay.
The
the
pay
numbers
per
were
view
higher.
for his return did very
Right.
well and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, yeah.
He was
I don't doubt any of that. Yeah.
right. Okay. So they can
Because if
find a
you
spot.
remember, before he showed up, I said this is gonna have a massive jump in the ratings, and it did.
If Tony Khan really had knew about the history of professional wrestling stuff, he would realize that the bookers do not book that that long in a row. Like you usually have to change. Like bookers get
Burnout.
we get a
Bro, you
burnout.
know what's
She
funny?
changes. It's
This
right. You
that's so
just change.
funny. That is so funny. Knock on wood, dude. I've never ever, and I've been booking AAA for like over 20 years, had burnout ever.
Right.
Yeah, I've just always church it out and thinking of new. But I will say this: Punk definitely has a high wrestling IQ because I've spoken to him before, and he's very creative. But I do not think because he says, "Oh yeah, Punk elevated MJF and Kingston." I don't think he elevated either when they were already over. Plus, his idea, and this was his idea, of wrestling Lee Moriarty and guys of that ilk did not elevate them. And like I said at the time, it wouldn't elevate them. Just like all those unnecessary factions that they think will get the rub just because one guy is in it. Now, I'm sure Punk could give some good ideas, but the way he started in AEW, I don't think that was a good idea.
There's some speculation
Do
that
you, Disco?
What now?
The way he started in AEW, I don't think that was a good idea how he started. Do you?
No, not at all. Because
No,
he
it
came
took
in, they were all
them.
friendly and glad to be back.
No, no,
It
no.
went on for too long.
And
Yeah.
facing Lee Moriarty and guys like
Right.
that. Remember
Right.
that we were like,
Right.
what? They
It
think
took
Jimmy
them
Utah or
months
If
to
for a
have
guy with
him
high
face off with
IQ,
MJF.
I think he thought like I'm going to get in here and elevate these guys by working with me. It's like that's not
No,
how
you're
it
not.
works. That's
Right.
guys need to be elevated by actually elevating themselves up on the card and wrestling guys that are
Right.
better than the guys
And
that
you
they
have
just
to
beat.
and you have to
Right,
put
yeah.
them in a storyline so people can
Right.
suffer with them and people can hear microphones and there can be promos and there can be a connection, not just one match.
There's been some speculation that when and if Punk returns, it could be for Ring of Honor. Now, some people would say that's a waste to put him on the lesser show, but it would keep him away from guys he's had problems with. Maybe you could help the Ring of Honor brand. Would you, as Booker Conan, would you?
No.
Maybe you would if you brought Punk back.
I brought him back to
AEW.
AEW 1000%.
Okay.
All right. So next is from Lion McCarthy, and the subject is cartels. Hey guys, big fan. Quick question for K Dog. Booking in Mexico, has he ever had dealings with cartels or had to change booking plans due to their likings, etc.? Thanks, and that's from Lion from Blackpool, England.
No, I've never had to change. Cartel members, what they do is they go to the shows, and if they like you, they'll give you some money after the show. They'll buy your mask, and usually what they would do is because they didn't want to take you to a club because something could go down in a club, and they didn't want you to be caught in the crossfire. This has happened a lot. They'll get into the dressing room. They'll have their security get in front of the door. They'll close the doors and they'll order a bunch of food, a bunch of drinks, a bunch of girls, and they just have parties there. The problem is getting out of the party because it'll be like 4 a.m. You're like, yo, dude, I got to dip. They're like, nah, you have to stay, and there have been times where, they've had to pay a plane flight for wrestlers so they could get to their job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Interesting.
But then no booking changes, no.
Next one's from Candy Fist Toad, and the subject is Bulldog. A lot of recent emails have been talking about this stuff on Wrestling Bio's YouTube channel, so I'm going to add it to that pile. Recently, he's been covering a lot of British Bulldogs run during Wrestling Bio's YouTube. Yeah, and he's been covering a lot of British Bulldogs
He's a
run.
big Disco fan, by the way.
During 1998, and frankly, the guy's a mess. Even during his entrances, he's sometimes staggering over his own feet and clearly is not working sober at all. Conan Disco, I'm not asking you to bury someone that's no longer with us, but I was wondering if you have any memories of Bulldog during this time. Plus, do you have any idea why Bulldog, Neidhart, and Bret Hart were never linked up on TV in WCW? Yeah, Neidhart and Davey were, they were having issues. Is about the best way I could put it.
Yeah, but
and I think Bret didn't want to work with them because they were having issues.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they weren't the only ones. Everybody was on pills back then. Everybody was fucked up, especially from their generation.
Right.
But Bulldog was always great. I first met him in Canada when I was with Stampede, and he was the world's greatest practical joker. And when you were around him, you were gonna get joked. And I remember the first time I ever saw like Somas. We had gone to a trip to Kuwait. We had gone to Kuwait, and there was the promoter was this little French guy. He had a really big head, ego-wise. And so I remember he had gotten this guy called Angel of Death, who was this tall, bald guy from Stampede. And there was another guy there. Remember this guy that wrestled in WCW as Chip the Firebreaker?
Yes, Firebreaker Chip.
Yeah, Chris Thompson or something like that. That was kind of like a Marcus Bagwell type guy. Curtis Thompson. Bill, kind of good looking. And he was like, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat you the next day. And then he pointed to British Bulldog, and I'm beating you the last day. Just kind of being So we were at the table. I'd never seen pills or didn't even know what the effect was. And I saw him drop some pills in the guy's soup. The guy drank his soup, and he went face first into the soup. And we had to pull his head out of there. And I was like, holy, I better watch out around this guy because he might pill me. And I remember I got into the bathroom and this taking a pen, which you can still do to this day. And you know the thing that you use to close the door?
Mm-hmm.
There's a little hole right by that little knob. He had taken a pen and he put it from occupied to unoccupied without me knowing it. And people were opening the door, and I was like, going on here? And finally somebody smartened me up. They go Bulldog, and he would order massive amounts, and I do mean like for 5 people, massive amounts of room service to my room and like that. But he was a great practical joker, great guy. It really broke my heart to see that he got so deep into pills and would show up to work up in WCW.
Real quick, because I asked this on Raven, and he claimed that he didn't know exactly what it was. When you guys make the joke about, you want a bomber? What was that? What kind of pill was that?
Halcyon.
Halcyon. Okay.
It's an H-bomb.
Yeah, H-bomb. Okay, cool.
Want a bomber?
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, Disco want a bomber.
Raven claimed no knowledge as to what that was, but he did say,
bro, I'm sure he took a million Halcyon.
Someone asked a question in the Raven mailbag about you guys on the Osmonds show.
Right.
And Raven claimed that right after your guys' appearance, immediately the reviews came out, and it said Raven was the star of the show. That's just, he said he read the reviews, and that's what it said.
Okay. Next is from Heartbreak Kid Trent. This is an interesting one. Heartbreak Kid Trent. Subject is K100 question. Hello to the crew. Hope all is well with you. My question is for the K-Dog. If you had Disco and Joe you'd like to add in, I'd like to hear also. But if you had to start, bench, cut, which player would you choose? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant. That's much love from Houston, Texas. Keep up the good work and dope content. So start, bench, and cut. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant. Go ahead, Joe. Conan.
I don't really understand the question because
you got to start one, cut one, and bench one.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, LeBron
okay,
James.
Before
and Kobe
I
Bryant.
say this, you don't cut or bench anyone, and you start all 3.
Well,
but
you have to. You have to start, bench, or cut.
Okay. This is personal.
I got my answer.
Yeah, this is personal choice. I would, bro. This is very hard.
I would start Michael Jordan. I would bench Kobe Bryant because Michael Jordan's starting, and I would cut LeBron James because he's a crybaby.
That's the same exact thing I was going to say.
I'll change it a little bit. Mine's different. I would cut Kobe. He's a ball hog. I would bench LeBron, and I would start Jordan.
Interesting. Next is from Matthew Hansen. Subject is Cameron Grimes. Hello, guys. Cameron Grimes was WWE and goes back to his Trevor Lee name. Should he go to AEW and form a faction with Keith Lee, Lee Johnson, and Lee Moriarty? They could be the foreign. That is the number 4-N. Lee LEE-GION. The Foreign Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me.
Should we suspend him for that pitiful
First
attempt
of
at
all,
comedy?
this guy Cameron Grimes isn't a foreigner. And number two, what happened to him? He was on NXT kind of prominently, and then just disappeared.
He's still on NXT, isn't he?
Is he? I don't watch NXT, so
Yeah, I don't
maybe
watch
I'm
NXT.
speaking out
Look
of
that
line.
up, Joe. See if he's still on
Yeah,
NXT.
I'm looking him up now.
Okay, next is from Robert Corbo. The subject is Karrion Kross being wasted.
Grimes is waiting for creative plans on the main roster, according to the internet.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Hey
that
guys,
doesn't
I'm a big
sound
fan
good.
of the podcast. This is my first email. Now, although I don't really watch pro wrestling anymore, I'm a really big fan of Karrion Kross. The guy has the look, mic skills, and legitimate MMA background to boot. But Triple H, from what it looks like, is wasting him. His feud with Drew McIntyre was a dud. His feud with Rey Mysterio is underwhelming, and his participation in the Fatal 5-Way to be the number one contender was lackluster. The guy should be either fighting in the main event for the top title in the company, or should be feuding with top stars like Edge, or especially Brock Lesnar, to put him over, not fighting for mid-card title. So my question is, what do you guys think the WWE's creative plans for Karrion Kross after WrestleMania, if they have any plans for him at all? Thank you for answering my question, and God bless. Yeah, bro, I told, like, I've spoken to Kross and everything. Bro, he's in the same spot that a lot of wrestlers have been in over the years. Just they're not doing anything with you at the current time. And
Yeah.
like we've all been in that spot. Then you find something and you do it well, and you go in the next. It's just, bro, they just have a lot of talent there right now, And his character, it's like when you got up to the main roster, the whole monster gimmick wasn't going to work anymore. Because now you have to sell for guys. Because now you're on the main roster. You're not just killing guys out there like he was doing in NXT. So, and plus two is a lot of his matches, he's holding back. Like, he's not doing a lot of stuff in his matches. I don't know why. Like he does that helicopter F5 where he's like, I haven't seen him do that to anybody lately. Like, he's got a lot of moves that he could be doing that he doesn't do.
But wouldn't you imagine that maybe that's not up to him? Maybe it's how they're producing his matches.
I don't know. No, usually, I mean, they don't tell you move for move what to do. So
maybe they say don't use that helicopter because Brock uses the F5.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be able to do it.
Let me just say, Kevin, he's got all the goods. He's just one good storyline away from getting over. I think the Drew McIntyre thing did not work for whatever reason. I was not a fan of that either, and I was surprised because they're both good workers. Unfortunately, the thing with Rey Mysterio, he had to kind of play second fiddle because the thing with Dom is much harder. So there he's kind of a victim of circumstance. But yeah, he's still got a great look, still has a great attitude, still has a hot chick with him, still has a cool entrance, and he's just one good storyline or feud from being over. So I don't worry about him.